okay, just for people with the baby eating thing, can we just clear this up once and for all?
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably going to get mad at me because I was big into Pizzagate. I totally believe that they eat babies. I'm not saying they don't, but I've never seen a baby being eaten. I just want to be clear. Have you ever seen a baby being eaten? You've heard about it. Like, you've never been in a party where they're like eating a baby.
I have never personally seen.
Right.
But I have, because I have mental disorders.
Yeah, people have talked to you.
A through Z.
Yeah, you've got them all.
And I've been hospitalized several times for dissociative identity disorder.
Right.
And in groups with people who also have it. And many of them, in fact, I would say the majority of them are survivors of satanic ritual abuse.
Right. So let's get to it.
All of them say they have seen their own babies sacrificed and eaten.
You're talking when you're on Tucker with Stitch, because this is why people say you're crazy. You're talking about, you've actually talked to victims of this, family members of this.
You know, all the victims of abuse come to me because they think of me as their mom. That's what people, I don't get why people don't get that.
No, I think people get that.
They do?
Absolutely. And you have talked to victims. You've been on this.
Boy, people hate their moms, don't they? Fucking people hate their moms. Think about that.
You should hate your mom. She's a bad mom, I think.
I agree.
And I think there's a lot of bad moms out there. But no, you're naturally inclined to love your mom. But anyway, that's a whole other podcast.
Well, that's what fucks you up is when you love your abuser. That's what makes your mind break.
Absolutely.
So I think about all the people out there who have dissociative disorder and don't even know they got it.
Yeah.
But like clue number one is, hey, do you say one thing and then do another? You should think about that. I want you to think about that. Do you often say one thing and then do another? Not just another, but it's complete opposite. The opposite of what you've just said you believe and testified in front of people, this is your belief. Then you leave the stage and do the exact opposite. You have multiple personality disorder because you've been abused. You've been sexually abused as a child. Let's stop lying about it.
I love it. I love that you do this because you've been, I just want to say, and I'll hand the floor over. I like to give context.
But that's why they say I'm crazy, and they've always said I'm crazy.
But you've always talked about this, right?
They say every victim who comes forward is a liar and crazy.
That's how they keep
That's how they fucking shut you up. But you know what? There's so goddamn many of us, and, you know, don't get on me for saying goddamn because you don't even know what you're talking about. It is goddamned.
Yeah.
And I have the authority to say it as a Jewish Torah student of, I am 72 years old, and I've studied Torah since I was 3. So talk to the hand, bitch.
All right, so you've been talking about this pedophile, elite, pirate Ponzi thing for, as far as I can tell, MK Ultra for at least 35 years, right? 30 years?
Absolutely.
I used to make fun of you. Remember? I used to think you were crazy. So this isn't, I just want to be really clear. A lot of people
Pedo, Ponzi, pirate, priest class.
Let me just set the stage and I'll hand it over to you. Okay. A lot of people think you've gone crazy since you've left the left and became a Trump supporter. And now you're like, they eat babies. They don't understand the context of your career and life's work. Children of the night, being, trying to protect kids from pedophiles. This is something you've been doing for 35 years. Even as a leftist, this was the biggest, probably the number one thing you've been behind.
It's the reason I left the left, because they're pro that shit.
Right.
They're sexual libertines, and they're hiding behind it, and that's who gives to the Democrat Party. They're sexual libertines, and they were thrilled to get Ruth Bader Ginsburg in there, one of their fake, I'm sorry, whatever. She looked right. She looked the part. That's what they're looking for. You got to look the part in order to fuck with the people and take away their rights and bullshit them. But her one of the things she advocated for was lowering the age of consent of children having sex. She wanted to lower it beneath the age of 12.
I've never heard
They've had this agenda forever. It's a Marxist thing. The Marxists are sexual libertines. That's what Luciferianism is. It means you can fuck whoever, whenever, and it's all male. The women can't. The women think they can fuck everybody. Yeah. And they go try, but they end up with the babies and then no money from the guy. I mean, it is a total male bullshit society of sexual libertines, males.
Right.
Who decided to try to further degrade and humiliate women as if they ain't done enough.
And children.
Well, that's their goal, is to get at the children. They just want to be around the kids' sex organs a lot.
When you were a leftist, it was
they want to experiment on them and do Nazi science on them and take the flesh off their forearms and sew it into their groin. Oh my God, you're nothing but Nazis. Do you understand that? Do you understand what you're doing to children?
They do. When you were a leftist, it was fair to say then the pedo. Oh.
You're not going to get away with it.
The pedo.
I'll tell you why, because I have the authority. And I'm going to tell you about my authority and where I get it. And I'm going to introduce you to a guy maybe you never met. I don't think you have met him, but his name is God. I'm going to introduce you to him.
Is it fair to say when you were a leftist and you were against the pedo cult that a lot of those pedos tended to be more on the right, like the Vatican and the Christian? Remember, this is what you were kind of talking about 30 years ago. It seems like the pedos have, like everybody, like all the commies and evil people and the billionaires, have all sort of moved to the Democrat Party. Is that that's my theory? Do you see that? Because remember, it was the Vatican getting busted for child trafficking and child sex crimes, and now it's like Hollywood and P. Diddy and all this stuff. It seems like they just kind of moved on. They're like, we've already kind of taken over the right. Let's done. They don't like us anymore.
Well,
that's what I see. I'm just asking.
Well, then you're limited in your seeing, because what they're showing, what you're supposed to be seeing, is the interconnectedness of every single one of them. It's one big friggin' trafficking thing. And they have built, with U.S. taxpayer dollars and everything else they've stolen from everybody, the billionaire class, they've built those tunnels underground everywhere.
Yeah.
Tunnels for trafficking children and organs and weapons.
Drugs.
And drugs. And why? Because they want a one world religion. And that one world religion was battle tested with Jeremiah Wright. It's called Chrislam. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing.
Oh, you see.